righty, folks. Thank you for sitting tight. What wonderful words from our sponsors. Yes. We're back here on KCAA. This is the Real Men of Real Estate radio show with Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. I am your host. I am back with my guest, Bethany Humpries, the owner of ACI Legacy Group. They are a due diligence company. They do the dirty work for people like me, and that's why I love them. But we were just getting into, before the break, how much time, goodness gracious, hours and hours and hours spent on due diligence. And let me tell you, folks, due diligence is really being done so that you can try to convince yourself why not to buy an asset. So can you imagine hours and hours and hours of work and frustration and digging and looking things up and making phone calls to just convince yourself why you don't want to buy it and why you want to pass on it so you can go to the next one? It is tough stuff, guys. And Bethany, let me ask you this. When and how did ACI Legacy Group come about, and how did you become a due diligence company?
So we got started in 2018. And ideally, in the beginning, we were investing for ourselves and for our own portfolio. So ACI was purchasing our own stuff. And so I really wanted to make sure that I understood what it was I was buying. It's going to be in my portfolio. I had partners at the time as well. I wanted to make sure that the notes that we purchased were good quality notes that we wouldn't, lose our investment on. And so for me, it was a mission for me to make sure that we covered every aspect of it. And I completely understood what it was we were buying. And I identified any red flags or anything that may, make me not want to buy the asset. And so that's really how we got started in the beginning, was me just creating this list for our own portfolio. And so it's just grown, it's grown from there. And so
yeah, you have a couple of years in the business under your belt for sure. Started investing on your own, and then started working for a private equity firm and doing due diligence on a much higher scale, a much larger scale. And you had to ramp it up a little bit, right? And you started kind of by yourself, but you got some employees. And what's neat about your business is it's a family company, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So you put a couple of real experts in place to help you do all this heavy lifting. And why don't you give your team a mention and what their level of expertise is in your business?
Sure. So yes, when I got started, it was myself. It was myself and my partner at the time. And I was doing all of the due diligence, all of the behind the scenes. And we've since grown, and I've created, systems online. So no, we don't have a checklist, a physical one anymore. I've been able to develop good systems for us to keep track of notes and of contacts and of all of the tasks that need to be done. And in 2019 is actually when I brought on Sherry Bogacek. And so she is my due diligence expert. And I hired her because she has a background in underwriting mortgages. So she was a loan processor and an underwriter. And so I was like, she is the perfect person. That is just completely the perfect person that you want for someone who's going to be analyzing the mortgage. And so she already had a lot of experience. There was a few things I just needed to kind of catch her up on and, teach her when it came to mortgage note investing. But she's who I put in place as my due diligence expert, and she does incredible work. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, guys, their team is just amazing. Great people to work with, and man, just so intelligent about due diligence. They've built these systems over years by way of experience. They didn't make this stuff up. They've made mistakes and they've seen what can happen and put you in bad situations. And they keep on adding these things to their checklist so that they don't have to make the same mistake twice. Not only are they nice people, intelligent, brilliant, great systems, and they know their stuff. And Sherry is awesome. I've had some experience working with her too. Great lady, really does know her stuff. And what do you know? Many years as a mortgage underwriter, and it kind of slips her right into this perfectly, right? Perfect fit. So let me ask you this: with your team, what sort of services are you going to be providing to folks? Like, let's say there's a note investor who's maybe new, or maybe they're a veteran, but they just don't want to do the dirty work. And they bring you a note and they say, hey, listen, I'm considering this note because it kind of meets my investing criteria, but I need to do due diligence. Here it is. I'm going to give it to you guys. You do it for me and give it back to me. Done. What does that look like?
So basically, we're going to be rolling this out officially here in the next week or so. And the way that I plan on this kind of rolling out would be, yes, I would present us with just the details of what their asset is that they're looking to buy. And we're going to plug them into the system that we use for our own due diligence and for the due diligence that we do for the private equity fund. And that's going to be, again, going through all of the collateral, getting the various reports that we need on the title, on the property itself, analyzing the borrower, analyzing the seller that they're purchasing the asset from. I mean, we're going to do a full, due diligence review on every aspect of it. And we're going to be able to provide them with a report of all of our findings. We are not going to be giving, legal advice. Again, this is going to be their own personal preference. And I would always recommend to seek legal counsel, but we're going to be able to provide them all of the details that they need to know and be aware of so they can make an informed decision on how they need to proceed.
It's so cool, man. It's so cool because I've been super confused with due diligence, right? And even just to get a collateral file digitally from some of these sellers of notes when it's just all gobbledygook, it's not organized. I mean, just to go through 100 different documents in a collateral file and organize them into their own areas, how they already should be, is just time consuming. It's crazy. And so, guys, they're going to do it for you. It's the dirty work. But what I love, and thank you for letting me be a little beta tester for your summary reports, but I loved it where, guys, you're going to get full summary reports on everything, where you don't have to dig through and figure it out yourself when it's done. It's full summary reports on everything. And it's delivered to you so clean and so simple. And boy, they are quick with it. I know that timing is everything. Sometimes these notes have to be closed on fairly quickly. Otherwise, people will lose the opportunity. And so, people can hire some folks and attorneys and things like this for due diligence, and it is very helpful. But oftentimes it's the timing in which it may take too long and they may miss out on the opportunity. And so, folks, ACI Legacy Group, quick and thorough, but again, they're giving you a report. Your job is to go through the summary report. If you have questions or concerns, ask the team and get clarification. And if it's not very clear, go ahead and seek an attorney's advice on that due diligence summary. But again, the hours and the time and the frustration to dig and get all this information in a clean summary report is really what their value is at ACI Legacy Group, guys. It's just amazing. So let me ask you, note investing is all about ROI. And I know that in due diligence, in which all note investors have to do on their own if they're not using folks like you, you're going to spend a little bit of money. You're going to invest a little bit of money in the beginning to do your due diligence. You have to order a title report. Some people order a BPO, which is a broker price opinion, and they send a real estate agent on foot in that community to go check out the collateral, right? Give them fresh pictures. This stuff is going to be an investment. It's not free. And so due diligence does cost a little bit of money. And I think the major thing here with due diligence, Bethany, is that time is money. Most investors understand that. Investors want to be sticking to their money-making skill sets. They don't want to have to sit and do much clerical work, and that's not what makes them the money. And so cost may be a concern with people, right? I was talking to you about this, and when we were going over the cost of your services, I'm thinking, my God, for all that you guys do and all the time you spend and how thorough you are, number one, your due diligence is priceless. But number two, the pricing model that you were coming out with, it just seems to fit the bill. I mean, from myself and being in pain, doing so much due diligence and spending so much time with my eyes bleeding from the computer screen, you said it was going to be just a couple $100 or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's very, very affordable for what it is that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's ideally what I really wanted it to be, affordable, because due diligence is such an important aspect. And it's really important for me personally to make sure that I know what I'm looking at in my investments and I understand what I'm buying. And I want it to be available to others as well, to feel comfortable to go ahead and pull the trigger. I wanted it to be something that was affordable and be able to provide them everything they need to know.
Yeah. And folks, I didn't mean to throw my guest under the bus there on this one. I know she's officially launching in about a week or two. And so I think she's still finalizing her pricing models and such. But again, guys, a couple $100 to save you just extreme amounts of hours and frustration, to me, is well worth it. But I've just been a note investor for several years now, and I understand the pain. So guys, their services are priceless, but honestly, there'll be a couple $100, and it depends on the asset, depends on how thorough they have to get and things like that. But definitely well worth it from what I've seen, Bethany, and especially with your team. I mean, goodness gracious, somebody like Sherry who's on your team, she's priceless. I don't know what you pay her, but you better pay her good, right? uh, so, and we talked about the time and effort people would save, but what is and what is your number one, like if you could just extrapolate one, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but your number one piece of advice that you would give to a new note investor when it comes to the due diligence process?
Truly, I would say to find someone who can give them some guidance. Okay. A coach, a mentor, hiring someone like myself to help navigate, because I already went through all of the trouble of making my own mistakes and then learning from my mistakes and saying, okay, I won't do that again. That's going on the checklist. I've already been able to do that. And in an effort to avoid other people from having to do that as well, I would say, to find someone who can be a coach or a mentor for you, to help guide you through, so you don't have to make the these types of mistakes that could truly cost you money, especially as you're learning. If you're new, it could deter you from wanting to even pursue, because it can be a little scary sometimes when you realize that, wow, that was a jeopardizing mistake I just made. And they are avoidable. And so I would say, if you're new, to truly like seek a coach, a mentor, a service, that can help you in the beginning stages, because there's people out there that have these things in place. They have the answers for you. Don't try to figure it out on your own from the beginning when
In
there's
fact,
so much around you.
yeah, and in fact, I'm really glad to be working in collaboration with ACI Legacy Group. Bethany, you were nice enough to put together a very, very extensive deep dive masterclass into your team's due diligence process. And so, like I tell people, I mean, if you want to learn and do all this due diligence on your own, Bethany created a masterclass where she gives all of her secrets, and you can find that at the noteinvestoruniversity.com. So go to noteinvestoruniversity.com and look it up. She has a master due diligence class there. You can purchase that class and you can learn how to do it all on your own. But I'm telling you, folks, if you get that, most of the customers that get that class, most of the clients that get that class, and they realize how thorough your due diligence is, they end up just thinking, oh my goodness, forget it. I'm going to let ACI Legacy Group do that. And so I agree. Trust me, I agree. And, when we come back from this commercial break, folks, we're going to talk about why Bethany has such a passion for helping people with this tedious due diligence process, and also how you can get a hold of her and her business if you want to ask questions or hire them for their services. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.